It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to a draft week episode of The Oil Stream. And nothing says draft week like a delicious Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen chicken sandwich, or if you're going to watch the draft with a bunch of your friends, get some of those juicy yet crispy chicken nuggets. You can get your hands on those as well. Coming soon to the food court at the West Edmonton Mall, right down by the movie theater and the Pirate Bridge. Tommy, what's up, buddy?
Like every episode, there's a new location that you're announcing in our area. Amazing.
That's crazy, isn't it? I know.
It's so delicious.
I guess you could say they're Popeyeing up all over the city.
Oh, get out of here, Principe.
Oh, by the way, I love Gino. He's the best. What a guy. Love that guy. All right, we've got lots to get to in this episode, obviously. But, Tommy, let's get this jersey thing out of the way. I see a lot of people talking jerseys the last few days. You're the jersey insider. Let's just stop right there. What are they going to be wearing, my man?
Okay, so they finally hinted at the Royal Blues, which you and I have been talking about for months.
Like almost a year, it feels like.
Yeah, I told you. And then it'll be the away jersey as well, by the way, for those that are like, oh, it's just the home jersey. No, it's the home and away jersey that are going back to the classic colors. And then, again, they'll keep those navy alternates that they've been using the last couple of years. And then the last couple of weeks, like I was told a few months ago that there was a white version of the McFarlane reverse retro. But I was like, okay. And it came from a source outside of Edmonton, also in the league, that saw it, saw the white version of the reverse retro. It existed. And then I was told like this week, hey, there's a white reverse retro. The base color is white from what I've seen. And it was from someone else that is very well embedded in the jersey/equipment world of hockey. So I'm like, all right, this thing sounds like it's going to be white. So I'm on Gregor's show doing the Chronicles, and I'm like, hey, they're finally doing the Royal Blues, and looks like the reverse retro is going to be a white base. And as I say that, I get a text message from another person that sends me the blue version that was actually made. And it came, I can't say where, but it's 100% legit. But what
I've seen it. Tommy's right. Yeah, it's not bad looking.
So I tweeted out that picture, that mock-up interpretation by the one artist. I think it was Spitz Designs.
Yeah.
He basically nailed the blue version. The collar is a little bit different. He forgot to put the shoulder.
Some of the outlining is a bit different too.
Yeah, like there's
it's better. Outline. It's better without the orange outline. Yeah.
Yeah, it has the shoulder logos. The numbers have an orange outline around them.
General concept, though, was very close to what that guy was saying. Yeah.
The logo doesn't have the orange outline as well, and the oil drop is orange. Okay, so I said, hey, there's a white one that's been designed. I don't know which one they sent to production, but it's coming. The reverse retro is coming. It makes more sense to have the blue one to wear at home, but you're going to have 3 blue jerseys and 1 white jersey? So I think they had to fight and wrestle with that. It's coming. It might be the blue one, and it could be the white one, but the reverse retro with the orange incorporated and included on the oil drop in the gear sprocket, whatever you want to call it, is very much real, and it's happening.
Looks good on the blue. I think it was like when we got to look at the blue one yesterday, we went back and forth, and I was like, I think it might even look better on white.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it ends up turning out. But anyway, that's the latest. That's the latest from Jersey Insider, handsome Tom Gazzola. All right, buddy. We've got a few other things I want to hit on today. We'll get to Claude Giroux in just a second. But the Duncan Keith, looks like Mike Smith is going to end up on LTIR. That was a dragger thing a little while ago. But Duncan Keith, originally it was July 1st. Then the deadline's July 10th here right now, Tommy. Is this deadline extended because he's legitimately thinking about retirement? Is that what the reason is here? Because technically, I don't like the deadline extending past the draft, because if you knew he wasn't going to be back, it provides you a little more flexibility, at least as far as what your cap situation is going to be like next year heading into draft week, where a lot of stuff gets done. So I guess, did Duncan Keith tell them, hey, man, I'm going to need more time. This is a real hard decision, or what do you think's happening here?
Something to that effect must have happened. I haven't followed up on Keith since, I got my information a couple of weeks ago, and it was a July 1st deadline at that point. And like I said, players on the team. One indicated that he thought Keith was retiring. Another indicated he thought that Keith would continue playing. So you kind of add it up and you're like, you get this information, you process it, and you go, yeah, maybe he is taking his time to make sure he really thinks it through and is taking an extra 10 or has been given an extra 10 days. I think he still will play. That's my instinct. And if he needs those extra days, maybe he took a vacation. I mean, an arbitrator for an Evander Kane grievance has taken vacation and his schedule's booked up.
And it's the only arbitrator in the world, so that's
evidently. So, I mean, it's been a weird offseason. It's been an offseason, like you and Lieutenant Eric like to talk about. So maybe he just asked for more time and just want to get his mind at ease and then come back to it type of thing. That the most logical explanation is probably that, Dusty. I don't have further information since the last time we kind of discussed it.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. July 10th will be right after draft weekend. So obviously still some time before free agency, depending on what the answer is going to be from Duncan Keith. It was Pierre LeBrun in his article there with The Athletic saying that the Edmonton Oilers have had internal discussions around Claude Giroux. And I mean, since then, it's been, has he been a fit or would he be a fit? What's the price tag going to be? Would he come to Edmonton anyway? And I think someone mentioned that Rashog on his podcast, or Rashog mentioned on his podcast that LeBrun said that the Oilers would probably be in the top 5 right now for Claude Giroux. And that would, I guess, be coming from the player's perspective and maybe his camp. Tommy, what do you make of all this Claude Giroux discussion? It kind of popped up out of nowhere, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it did. It's very interesting, and there's still a pretty good player there. I would call him a top 6, even at his advanced age in his National Hockey League career. And the leadership, the body of work, the experience is phenomenal. And, some fans might look at it and go, he's old, he's over the hill. But if they get him on a short-term deal and they don't, throw him out there for 23 minutes a night, which is highly unlikely, but you play him like 18 minutes, could he not be an effective second-line guy and play on the right side, be a right winger and shape and reform that right wing, which we fully anticipate will have a couple of face-offs coming up. Take some face-offs, help Nugent Hopkins out on face-offs, help McDavid, and doesn't need to help Draisaitl out on face-offs. So we know that. But yeah, this could be a good fit. And I, kind of asked a little bit today about this. And all I was told this morning was, as of last night, Giroux was interested still. Okay. So that doesn't mean he's committing, obviously, but there's interest there. So the boys, LeBrun and Schauger and all that, they're always bringing you good information. And then the latest is that as of last night, Giroux sounds like he's interested in the Oilers. Whether or not that culminates in a deal, who knows?
What do you think this deal looks like? Like, is it a 2-year thing at this point? I would assume Claude Giroux is not settling for a 1-year deal no matter where he ends up. He's 34. I would think he probably wants a 3-year deal, kind of take him to 37, and then sort of reevaluate from that stage of his career. A contender for at least a year or 2 or 3 years, I would think, are probably up near the top of the list. But, Tommy, is this a contract you think comes in under 5 or... I mean, he had a point per game last year still. Like, you mentioned it. He's no slouch. He's a top 6 forward on pretty much every team in the National Hockey League still.
Another thing about the Giroux, and I'll mention it, is as I was following up on the Giroux stuff, I was told that it's pretty quiet right now when it comes to everything that's going on in Montreal, because the Oilers brain trust and hockey ops department is there. And the other thing that was mentioned to me is that the Kane situation kind of muddies stuff. Yeah. And it kind of keeps everything at bay to a certain extent. So that's the only other element. But yeah, a couple of years, Dusty. I mean, this is a guy, these guys want to squeeze out as many years in the National Hockey League as they can. I don't know if it's necessarily about the money, but you want to get market value for what you feel you're worth. And you want to maximize that as well. And
this could be Claude Giroux's last contract. Really could. Exactly. I don't know if he's a guy who plays till he's 39 or 40 years old. So this could be his final deal.
Absolutely. And if the Oilers are willing to give him something that accommodates his needs and it accommodates their needs, and they think that they can get 3 good years out of Claude Giroux, serviceable by the end of the contract, to be a positive outlook on it, then yeah, maybe they go for it. Maybe they front load it a little bit And then that last year is lesser, but the AAV obviously we know will be the impact on the cap. But yeah, a couple of years, it makes sense to me, Dusty. And why wouldn't you? I mean, you mentioned it, point a game guy last year at 33, 34 years old.
The one thing I'll say about Giroux, and then we'll move on to this draft coming up in Montreal, is like I'm not like overly stoked about it if it happens. I guess I'd describe myself as lukewarm, simply because it would come down to how much money they're paying him, to me. Because, I mean, I don't know if I love the idea of bringing in guys who are 35 years old, past their prime, at the tail end of their career, looking, cup chasing essentially. With that being said, if it's $4.5 million, certainly there's some value in that for the Edmonton Oilers. So there's some positives here that I would just need to see the number. I'm afraid the Oilers are going to give him $6.5 million and not being able to sign a goalie in the offseason, and all of a sudden you're back to square one again. So to me, I totally like the idea of Claude Giroux, but not if it hampers your ability to get the right goaltender and make sure your blue line's good to go next year. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, absolutely. I wouldn't sacrifice other more important areas because you're going to overpay Claude Giroux. So I would think if they can get him in at a reasonable number, it makes a lot of sense. So
that's fair.
No,
totally
right.
fair.
Hey,
I'll just do it quickly. Like, what if he ends up being like Eric Stahl was for the Wild, where he had a couple of really good years, even though he was past his due date or prime?
How much was Stahl making then? Like I said, I don't care as long as
minimal.
it's not a massive number,
minimal,
right? Like,
yeah. But Stahl had put together a couple of good years before, being shipped off.
Yeah.
And bounced around that last season before he wound up in the Cup final with the Habs. That's just an older guy that got a decent deal and put up some good numbers in his last couple of years. That comes to mind. That if Giroux can do something like that, I think you're pretty happy with it overall.
Fascinated. Like, the whole discussion is big, but very fascinated to see what the number would be if they do bring him in. Tommy, do you get the sense, and I don't know if people you talk to around the league, do you get the sense that the vibe has changed on free agents to Edmonton simply just because of getting to the conference final? Like, I'm holding the approach of I'll believe it when I see it. Evander Kane needing a job and getting to play with McDavid to boost up his career is one thing, but other free agents just signing out of the blue to come here, I'll wait until without an overpay, I'm going to be a little hesitant before I declare that's a thing.
I saw that bouncing around. I think, was it Friedman that put it out?
Friedman and Staff, I think.
Yeah. I was pretty surprised to see that. I kind of am skeptical of it too. I mean, that was a great run by the Oilers. That was a ton of fun to cover. The fan base loved it. And what they did to Calgary was, thrilling for oil country. And I don't know if the temperature around the team is one of optimism, and people around the league are like, oh, I'll go to Edmonton now and I'll take a fair deal. I don't know if it's really shifted after all these years of people being like, oh, Edmonton.
I could see why maybe it has. But I'm not, like, until I see it, I can't believe it, I guess. Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical. I'm usually pretty positive. And as someone who's from here, it kind of sucks to hear, people thinking your city is lesser. Yeah. But, you try to pull back a little bit and it's like, I'm still a little skeptical. If that is true, great. If not, no shock. No shock.
All right, final one for this episode. We'll have another episode, obviously, later in the week, probably on Friday, Friday afternoonish, but we'll get into that. We'll sort that out. Oilers head off to Montreal. You mentioned everybody's out there getting ready. They're getting all set up. Yep. Tommy, what are they coming back with? A guy they draft 29th and 3 later picks, or is there more there, do you think?
I still think that they're going to trade that pick to get a couple more picks. Yeah. So they actually wind up with more prospects coming home to rookie camp, which gets going soon too, which is incredible. Off-season, what off-season? Hashtag that. And so I think 29 is probably going to be moved. And there's been a few people like projecting and doing mock drafts, and I'm looking up these players. I'm like, yeah, they sound nice, but everyone keeps saying like somebody's target at 29 could be another team's target at 41. Like, it's just kind of all over the map, especially in terms of the 20 to 40 range. So I think, from what I understand and what I was told, Edmonton wants as many picks and opportunities to select players as possible. And one way to do that is to flip that 29th pick for like a second or a third, or you could pry a couple of seconds away. That would, I think, be optimal. I don't know if that possibility is really out there. But yeah, they just want more prospects to restock the shelves, and I think they'll probably move it. If they don't, I'd be very surprised.
There you go. That's going to do it for another episode of the Oil Stream. More draft content, obviously, coming a little bit later on in the week. Tommy, we will talk to you then, buddy.
See you, Dusty.